Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 important tips that you should keep in mind before attending an interview. Now, a lot of times we go for a lot of different interviews for different job roles, different places, sometimes a new place altogether, a new environment altogether, and most of these times we are confused as to what exactly needs to be done or said, or what should we do on our part to ace that interview. So I'm going to be giving you 3 tips on how you can actually create a wonderful impact on the interviews that you attend. The first thing, and a very important thing that some people do not follow, or something that I've seen has reduced in terms of what people pay attention to, is appearance. Now when I talk about appearance, I'm talking about the way you dress, the way you appear, the way somebody puts across themselves or their personality to the interviewer based on how they present themselves. So very importantly, first thing to keep in mind is always make sure that your clothes are neatly ironed. Your clothes also contribute to your complexion. If you are a fair person, try and wear something a dark color, or if you are somebody with a darker complexion, try and wear light colored shirts. This actually complements your complexion. Now apart from that, make sure your clothes are neatly ironed and also presentable. Wear the right clothes. Try and wear sober colors like white, plain, cream. These are colors that actually create a nice sober environment or an experience. If you wear colors that are vibrant, like for example purple or pink, what happens is it creates a different perspective altogether. So try and wear a lot more sober colors, and make sure everything, right from the specs, if you're wearing specs, your jewelry is minimum, your shoes are well polished, your footwear is in proper condition. So these are very important things to keep in mind when you are talking about how you present yourself. The next and the most important thing is to create a rapport with the person who is asking you about your interview, asking you various questions. So what happens is a lot of times people go for an interview and answer questions very to the point, very precisely. If somebody says, where did you study? Immediately, I studied at this place. That's it, close. Try and create a totally different experience for the interviewer. A lot of times, interviewers interview close to around 20 people for one role, and everybody is asked the same question. If it's a sales job, they might ask you, how are you going to sell this particular product? Or what are you going to do differently? Imagine hearing the same thing from 10 to 20 different people. It gets very monotonous. It gets very boring for an interviewer. So that being said, you have to try and be different from the rest. That's what sets you apart, and that's what gives you a better chance of acing an interview. The best way you can do it is try and create a friendly atmosphere, a much more open discussion between you and the interviewer. Give a lot of information. It's okay to talk about your personal experiences, your personal thoughts, beliefs. Share a lot more and ask questions also from the interviewer. Usually interviewers will not hesitate to answer certain questions. Your questions need not be dedicated purely to the job. You can ask a lot of other questions also about the company, the work culture. Try and get yourself to feel placed already in that organization and see yourself as a good fit for this particular company where you are interviewing at. Now, coming to a question that every interviewer asks, this is asked 99.9% of the times. Tell me about yourself. The question may be usually tell me about yourself, or it can be paraphrased in some different ways, like, say something, tell me something interesting about you, or tell me something about you that I do not know. But these are questions that always revolves about you. The interviewer needs to know. They have your CV in their hands, they have your resume in their hands, but they still want to know something more about you. For this, there is something called an elevator pitch. For those of you who do not know what an elevator pitch is, imagine you are standing at an elevator waiting to go from the ground floor till the 6th floor. Okay? And say, for example, you are in a business complex. So there are a lot of different organizations and you are going for your interview to the 7th floor. Imagine if a person comes and stands right next to you. He's also waiting to go to the same floor or another floor, and you both enter the elevator together. Now at this point of time, if the person says, hi, tell me something about yourself, you have maximum between say 30 to 45 seconds to reach from the ground floor to your destination or his destination, whichever comes first. Okay. Now that being said, in 30 to 40 seconds, you have to answer about yourself. Tell the person, this is who I am, in that time, before the elevator doors open and you both go your different ways. Before that, you have to convince the person that this is who you are and create a positive impression about who you are. Who knows, maybe the person who was standing with you could have been the interviewer himself that morning. So try and have an elevator pitch, work on it right now before your interviews. 30 to 40 seconds to introduce yourself and say, this is who I am. Let me summarize again. 3 ways that you can ace an interview that you go for. The first is the way you present yourself, the way you appear. How well you are dressed, how well you present yourself as a person that you are. The second most important thing is to also create a rapport or create an engaging session between you and the interviewer. And lastly, and a very, very important question that's asked majority of the times, tell me about yourself. Have an answer ready, have an elevator pitch ready, that in 30 to 45 seconds you are able to convince an interviewer that you are the right fit for the job. For all those of you who are looking at going for an interview, all those who are seeking a chance at different organizations to get into these companies after an interview, I wish you all the best. I hope this video has created some kind of a different awareness for you, given you a little more insight on how to ace interviews. So thank you so much for watching this video and all the best for the interview that you're going to face. Thank you.